It took 90 years to get India independent from the British colonial rule. Almost every Indian citizen knows by heart that Britishers ruled India for 200 years. The Indian independence movement was a movement started from 1857 until 15 August 1947, when it finally got independence after years of struggle from the British Raj, and that's why the day 15 August holds a strong significance for every citizen of India living in India and abroad. This year, 2020, marks the 74th Independence Day of India. When and why British landed on Indian subcontinent? We all know very well that by the arrival of Vasco da Gama in the Calicut on May 20, 1498, discovery of sea route from Europe to the east was discovered, after which India became an important focal point for the European traders. Because of their ambitions of getting wider to grab Spice Island, trade monopoly causes numerous of naval battle. Formation of British East Company. The British Joint Stock Company, that is East India Company, was founded by John Watts and George White in 1680 to pursue trade with South and Southeast Asian nations. This joint stock company share owned primarily by British merchants and aristocrats. The East India Company had no direct link to the British government. The British came to India as a trader seeking spices. They first landed on the Indian subcontinent at Surat on 24 August 1608 AD for the purpose of trade. But after 7 years, British got royal order to establish a factory at Surat under the leadership of Sir Thomas Roy, who was the ambassador of James I. And they got permission from the Mughal Empire Jahangir in 1613 AD to build a factory. Following this, they also got permission from the Vijayanagar Empire to set up their second factory in Madras. Over the years, they saw a massive expansions of their trading operations in India. Numerous trading ports were established along with east and west coast of India, with 3 presidency towns in Kolkata, Bombay and Madras. They majorly traded in silk, indigo, dye, cotton, tea and opium. 20 years later, they set up a factory in Kolkata. During their period of trading company, they realized that the entire Indian subcontinent are dispersed under provincial kingdom, and hence they started thinking to concentrate all the resources. By 1750, they started intervening in Indian politics, and that's how the transformation from a traveling venture to a ruling enterprise began when they seized control of entire Mughal state of Bengal. Robert Clive defeated the force of the Nawab of Bengal, Siraj-ud-Dowlah, at the Battle of Plassey in 1757. But finally in 1858, the rule of the East India Company was brought to an end after the First War Independence in 1857, which is also known as Revolt of 1857. And in 1858, India officially became a British colony. The British Crown overtook direct control of the India by dissolutions of the East India Company. And that's how the rule of the British Raj started in India. The revolt of 1857 ignited the first spark of the revolution. It began in Meerut and later spread to Delhi, Agra, Kanpur and Lucknow. It was quite widespread but ultimately unsuccessful. And that's how the Indian independent movement started, with a series of activities with the ultimate aim of ending the British rule in India. 1885, Indian National Congress was formed with 72 delegates. The party started negotiating terms with the British Empire and organized movement ever since. Swadeshi movement 1905 to 1911, which was the result of the Lord Curzon's announcement for the partition of Bengal. The partition took place in October 1905 between the Muslim majority area in east and Hindu majority area in the west. This initiated Swadeshi movement in the Bengal. The movement included using the goods produced in India and burning British-made goods. In 1915, Gandhi returned to India from South Africa after fighting against a colonial empire. Later in 1921, he joined the Congress Party and led the nationwide movement against British Empire. Satyagraha movement 1917 was first started in Champaran in Bihar in 1917, inspired by Gandhi. The farmers in the Champaran district in Bihar were being forced to grow indigo. Besides, they were barely paid anything for their produce, and thus this led to the farmers' uprising. Non-cooperation movement of 1920. It was led by Mahatma Gandhi post the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, which changed the tons of freedom movement in India, gave birth to the rebels such as Bhagat Singh, and unmarks the enlightened colonizer. Rabindranath Tagore rejected the knighthood to protest against the genocide. The movement lasted for 2 years from 1920 to 1922. It embodied the idea of non-violence or ahimsa, where protesters refused to buy British goods and adopted local goods. Indeed, it was the most significant phase of the Indian independent movement, the Dandi March of 1930, or the Civil Disobedience movement, also known as Salt March. This was started in 1930. This movement is Gandhi's boldest protest against the British rule. After the British put tax on the selling and collecting of salt, the Indians were aggregated. Salt is the basic ingredient in the diet. Gandhi, along with huge crowd, walked from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi beach as a means of non-violent protest against the repressive salt tax imposed by the British government. The self-rule movement gave rise to 3 other movements: the Kakori Conspiracy 9 August 1925, Azad Hind movement led by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, and the protest against the Cripps mission by Lal Bahadur Shastri. With the failure of Cripps mission, Quit India movement was started in 1942. Gandhi started this movement with the aim of forcing the Britisher to leave India, also popularly known as Bharat Choro Andolan. This movement forced the British ruler to think about leaving India. In addition, Gandhiji made a call to do or die in his Quit India speech that he delivered in Bombay. The Indian Independence Act was based upon the Mountbatten Plan of 3rd June 1947 and was passed by British Parliament on 5th July 1947. It received royal assent on July 18, 1947. The Act partitioned British India into 2 new independent dominions, India and Pakistan. In effect, India came into existence on 15 August and Pakistan on 14 August 1947. And finally, with the continuous and rigorous effort by our freedom fighter, India got its independence, its freedom, ending the 200 long years of slavery, oppressions, and colonization.